One way or the other, we rode the bus. I'm pretty sure that's how we got to San Francisco from Sacramento. I don't remember how long it took. It's a fair distance, I think. I think it might be 100 miles or more. I have to get the map out again and go and look. But got into San Francisco from Sacramento. Got into San Francisco with my buddy Rick at the time, street urchin, street thief. But here's the thing. There is a whole other society of life that is living on that kind of street level. And it's a little bit organized, I think. Some people say, are you living the life? They might mean that you're a wise guy, or, you're one of those people who kind of a bottom feeder, but, don't take that so severe. But they're feeding off of people who are in lower, difficult circumstances, and or people who are weak, who like to gamble in places that don't support gambling, or use drugs, or steal. They fence stolen goods and stuff. And so this guy Rick might have had some ins and outs of that kind of lifestyle. I didn't see a lot of that, and I didn't participate in it, so I'm not really talking too much from my own experience at this point, because I didn't seek it out and I didn't participate in it. And can only tell you impressions. My impression of Rick was he was someone who knew Sacramento, and he knew San Francisco. And he might have known other places too, but those were the main places that I knew him from. And he seemed to know how to get back and forth pretty easy. So let's just hypothesize, if he was in any kind of a life on the street, peripheral gangster, mob connection, it might have been that if he broke into a house and found a camera and a VCR and a TV, computer nowadays, I don't think they had them back then, or 81, may have had a few personal computers. He might know the guy to go to fence that stuff, or he might know easy way to get from Sacramento to San Francisco or back by hopping a freight train, or other ways of getting there and doing things that are not all exactly right and above law. And willing to teach it. I wasn't a real good student. We just didn't do a lot of stuff. And he talked about it sometime, but other than trying to hop the freight, I don't remember actually doing anything with him that was not completely legal. He talked about stuff, but I never saw him do anything. So, we had a bus ticket, got to San Francisco, and he knew some people there. So this is what I'm saying. It seemed like those two theaters, he had enough knowledge to get around, and we went immediately to their apartment, as far as I remember. And there was a woman there, and she had 2 children. And then there's at least one other guy there. So it's at least 4 people. And then Rick and I, so we're talking about 6 people in that apartment. Probably had a living room, at least 1 bedroom, kitchen, and a bathroom. I think that's how it was set up. Might have been 2 bedrooms. But, and the children were real young. Children were probably only about 2 or 3 years old. So it's a little bit sad to see them in that circumstance. Now, nobody was abusing them. They were beautiful children, fed, well fed, kept clean and neat. Mother, in and out, was working. Again, I don't know what she was working at. And the guy that was hanging out there, I don't know what he was doing, whether he was working too. And my buddy Rick and I come in and hang out there for a couple of days and get fed. And, you know, I don't think anybody was bringing in a lot of money. In fact, I only remember my mustache in the band. I don't think anybody was bringing home a lot of money, although I remember eating scrambled eggs there, but I don't remember much eating anything else. And remember, mind you, this was early 80s, before Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign, and before marijuana got such a bad rap. I do remember maybe smoking a little bit of that there. I think we had a little bit of that. And I think maybe drinking a few beers and mostly hanging out and getting used to San Francisco. I went down to the main city library there. Seemed like it's located near a park, but it's always real pretty. And not too far walking from where the apartment was. And I believe I remember him suggesting that we go out and panhandle some, and he might have shown me some tricks and stuff to do that, but I don't remember doing that there, not much, if we did at all. Mainly I remember just hanging out a little while, a couple of days at that apartment with him, and then I pretty much never saw him again. I don't remember seeing him ever after that, or the people in that apartment. Although the girl, I've seen a girl that looks sort of like her a few times since, but again, only in passing, and she never seemed to recognize me, so, you know, it wasn't like I was making fast and true friends all the way along. I remember these people fine and greatly, and if I knew that was them and knew to say hi to them and talk to them about old times, I would. I don't hold any grudges or problems with any of these people. Or if I do run across some that I feel like are kind of bad, deserving of a bad reputation or whatever, I will state so. I will tell you how bad they are. But pretty much the people I saw on the road, in spite of the fact that some of them may have been breaking some laws, pretty much what I saw of them, in spite of the fact that some of them might have been prejudiced or hateful toward other people on the road or other people in general, most all the people I ever saw or talked to and hung out with were fairly nice people, seemed to be at least, seemed to be. And I'll grant you some of them, especially because they're living in a street sort of situation, homeless situation, some of them probably were guilty of some crimes and some nastiness going on, but mostly I didn't see that. Mostly I rarely saw anything that could be even, you know, mildly considered illegal or immoral or unethical or bad. I saw very few or almost no fights. I was in a couple of close calls, but I don't remember hitting anyone but maybe a couple of times. And I don't remember anybody hitting me except for maybe once or twice. So I don't even remember getting in fights. And we're talking about 4 years on the road, living down there with people that are pretty desperate, a lot of them, but there's sort of a code or sort of a leave everybody alone attitude most of the people have. And I think if you're looking for it, if you're looking to get in trouble, if you're looking to make a reputation for yourself or be some tough guy, you can find violence. You can find it fairly easily. You can ask for it. You can act in a way that's asking for it, even if you're not asking for it. But for the most part, I didn't see it, and it didn't become part of my existence. Any kind of crime or violence or abuses of drugs or alcohol or any of that. Now, I'll admit I did drink quite a bit. I drank a lot of beer. Once in a while, maybe some wine or some liquor, but mostly beer. and occasionally a little marijuana. Other than that, nothing. Absolutely nothing else as far as drugs or alcohol. And granted, that's enough. Some people completely against drinking of any kind, completely against drugs of any kind, or marijuana or whatever. And, I don't fault them or say they're wrong or anything. Just different ways to look at life. And personally, even now, I don't see any real harshness about occasional drinking or, you know, uh, drinking a beer or two with friends, even drinking till you're sort of happy, as long as you don't have to drive or, get in a fight, as long as it's not hurting your health. I'm a little bit beyond the state of health one should be in to imbibe in alcohol, so I've pretty much left it all alone. And, once in a blue moon, and I'll say probably 5 or less times a year, I will lift a beer with friends. And other than that, no other drug or alcohol abuse. So, just mature it, I guess. How did that happen? When did that happen? I'm 50. What? I was fortunate. I still am fortunate. People who do fall into those drug abuse cycles, or thieving and robbery, or violent behavior and stuff, usually don't exactly want to be there under those kind of negative situations. And I'm not excusing. I'm not. You read about some of these really terrible crimes, murder and heck, corporate theft, or manipulation of money to where, hundreds of people have lost all their retirement because some guy bought the company and sold off all the assets and there's nothing left, They do that, and that's horrible. I would put some of those in jail, some of those people in jail, indefinitely. You got to impress me first that you're ready to play fair, and then maybe we'll talk about parole. Otherwise, just get used to the food. That's all you're going to have. Jail food. Which is not always bad, by the way. But that's other stories. No, I don't mean be lenient on a lot of these people, but in some cases, there are mitigating circumstances. And in some cases, the person may deserve a second chance. Or another chance. Or a lift up. Sometimes you got to give somebody rent money for a few weeks to get them back working again. And if you do that, they can straighten out and everything works out fine. Or if you give them food stamps because they got 2 children at home and yet they're still working, maybe that's okay. Maybe that will really help those kids have a little bit better start on the world, and it's not costing taxpayers all that much as some people try to make it seem like. My exposure to it was either very, very limited, and I'll grant you I didn't see all the cases, or most of the people out there that are on various, services, welfare plans, food stamps, various kinds of welfare stipends. From my experience, what I saw, most of those people are just barely getting by, and that helps a lot. So, I'm just saying, it's not that welfare laws couldn't use a reform here or there. They could. It's not that making someone in those circumstances work for it and then pay them like you're paying them for a job. You could. That might be a good way to do it. And, try not to be down on the person for their circumstance as much as figuring out, well, what really is going to help this person change their life. If you figure that out, as often as not, if not more often than not, you're going to find a person who's willing to change. I'm pretty sure of that. I know after my experience being on the road, I went back and I asked my parents, I said, will you please take me back in for a while and let me try to get straight again? And, I try to get back to working a normal, regular job. And I did, and I'm very thankful to my parents. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad, for helping me during that very difficult time in my life, and for other people around who helped, and for God, and whatever spirits, whatever outside help, destiny, fate, whatever that helped me get back to at least this standard of living. I'm working full time, 40 hours a week, not on any kind of welfare assistance, financial assistance and whatnot, not on any of that. And getting by, maybe not as well as I'd hoped, but better than some. I'm very thankful. This has been way too long. I'm going to have to edit the heck out of this. Maybe make it a 4 or 5 parter. But that got me to San Francisco, and there's lots of tales in San Francisco, lots of tales, but those will have to wait for another day. Try not to judge each other so harshly. Look at each other more as a family, as your brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, and try to treat them with a certain amount of respect. I think we'll all live better together if that's our attitude toward each other. Peace.